Hello there. It's fair to say the human race has had its history of conflicts. Struggling ever since the first human decided to pick up a rock and bash it in another one's head, the human race has found inventive and destructive means to destroy itself in one form or another. Fast forward into the distant future, humanity would have multiple world wars, technology would leapfrog again and again and again during these conflicts, all to make the weapons more efficient and more destructive, culminating when the human race finally ventured out into space. It wasn't a fully united race, but would be somewhat forced together during its various conflicts that would come later, particularly the war against the synths, which would cause a certain amount of unification, as well as basically humans to stop thinking quite so provincially. The AI wars were very deadly and very violent and very dangerous, but were nothing compared to what was coming. The war with the Chigs, the first sentient alien species encountered by humanity, quite by chance if you believe the human side of the story. When a human colony was destroyed in an unprovoked attack by this enemy race, the humans would simply name the Chigs. The Chig War would be devastating for humanity. The nascent human species utilized wormhole technology and drives to get out into deep space, utilizing both natural phenomena and other means to get around, whereas Chig vessels were substantially more advanced and more powerful. This war was a type of 3D chess, which humans were always on the weaker end of. This interstellar war would not be an easy one for humanity, as the human race was substantially less technologically sophisticated than the Chig, who were a much older and more advanced species. In one-on-one engagements, Earth fighters, simply known as the Hammerheads, were superior to Chig fighters in certain aspects. They were a little better armed and they were generally more maneuverable, but Chig vessels could handle greater G-forces, they could handle getting closer to gravity wells and it not affecting them, they could operate in much more adverse environments, they were longer range and faster in the straight. And although less heavily armed, the Chig weapons were longer range and generally individually more powerful. Basically, almost every advantage went to the Chigs. Both ships were fairly similar in their robustness as a result of this, because despite the fact that the Chigs seemed to be able to win most engagements, the humans were holding their own. The Chigs began to search for an alternative method to defeat their enemy, experimenting, like anyone does during war, with that whole leapfrogging of technology to the next generation of advanced Chig fighter. This would be a type of vessel the humans would begin to think was almost a myth, because there were no survivors upon its engagements. This vessel was an advanced stealth fighter prototype. This one vessel was responsible for the total annihilation of several space wings of fighters. The humans began to suspect there was some kind of ace fighter out there, but they couldn't prove it because simply nothing was surviving engagements with this thing. The only telltale sign that this thing was even in the area was a slight distortion of the LiDAR systems on the fighters when they were trying to detect it. This, although didn't tell you where it was an indication that it was in the area. Unfortunately, this fighter was bigger and meaner and faster and more powerful than anything the Chigs had yet fielded. So not only was it hard to detect and always had the element of surprise pretty much on its side, it was a damn sight harder to destroy. It was almost nearly impervious to conventional weapons fire. This vessel was the apex of Chig technology in space superiority fighter design. Stealthy, fast, heavily armed, and capable of annihilating entire fighter wings that it engages on its own. This vessel, if went into mass production, could potentially have spelled the end of the offensive war for humans, as it would have forced them to consolidate forces together and only move in larger numbers, never again really risking sending individual ships or small squadrons out unprotected by larger firepower. What we know about this vessel's full capabilities is only really reported from the single major engagement undertaken with the vessel, which led to its destruction by the commander of the 5-8 Squadron, Colonel McQueen. McQueen engaged the vessel in a one-on-one dogfight and was ultimately successful. The vessel reportedly had 3 energy projector weapons, was extremely fast and unusually maneuverable, practically impervious to conventional cannon fire and had to be taken out by missiles. This took a great deal of skill and courage on the part of the Colonel, and he relied heavily on years of experience, training, and quite frankly allowing his enemy to underestimate and going so aggressively on the ship as to be know, both sides know that only one of them was coming out of this fight alive. He was either going to win or he was going to be killed, and he was successful. In terms of the vessel's apparent capabilities, as said, as observed, it had a stealth capability which rendered it practically invisible to conventional scanners, only showing up on LiDAR as a distortion on the system. The hull of the vessel was impervious to cannon fire. It was extremely fast, maneuverable, far exceeding that of a conventional Chig vessel, and was armed with 3 energy weapons, in opposed to the usual single cannon carried aboard a Chig fighter. It was unknown how many crew were on board, its top speed or actual range, but this vessel seemed to be able to operate on its own without the escort of a carrier to work as a main base, at least not close by, like the main fighters would need. The Chigs also employed an element of psychological warfare when utilising this craft, having painted on the side of it in human lettering, "Abandon all hope," which was pretty much the sentiments the Chigs wanted the humans to believe. They wanted humanity to believe that they were so much more powerful than them. In their own ego, the Chigs probably believed it themselves. And it would be, as would often be in the cases of many overpowered tyrants, their own undoing. Despite their technical superiority and their age over humanity, they should have been able to defeat humanity without a problem, and yet the humans were able to fight them to near a standstill. Even with collaborators helping them, the remaining synths that were out there actually aiding them, the Chigs were never able to substantially gain ground on the human race, and the humans were able to hold their own against Chig offensives. This is aided by the sheer span of territory that both powers were trying to power project from. But a ship like this could potentially tip the balance of power in massively, even more so, in favour of the Chigs, if it went into mass production. That would be the Chig Space Superiority Stealth Fighter Prototype. Let me know your thoughts on this ship in the comments below. If you've never seen Space Above and Beyond, which is what this particular fighter is from, I highly recommend it. It's a late 90s series that only went for 1 season, was of a planned 5 but got unfortunately cancelled, as were many great television sci-fi show epics in that time. And also, just a quick sort of shout out to the awesomeness of R. Lee Ermey, who once again appears in this series as a drill sergeant, a role that he was literally, I think, born to play, being ex-military and doing that for a career himself before actually going into the entertainment industry. And I don't know, I cannot get enough of this guy. He was awesome. May he rest in peace, because sadly he has passed away now. That is the end of this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Comment down below. Hit the bell notification icon, because that is the real subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with episodes from this channel. This is a relatively rare one for me. I just thought I've been hankering to cover a few other random sci-fi series, so expect a few sort of odd sci-fi franchise episodes to pop up that I haven't covered in a while, or perhaps not covered before. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything you want loosely covering. And with that out of the way, we're now at the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and bye bye. I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share and a subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now, and in the description box below there are links to my other social media accounts.